Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to preview Pain Gaming, go over their roster a bit as they head to Worlds 2024. Representing Brazil in the last season of CBLOL, LCS and CBLOL combining next year. I imagine Pain will be one of the teams that does move on in that, given their history, etc., relative to the other teams in the region. But regardless, Pain have been to Worlds prior. 2015, they finished 12th, 13th. I believe they were able to get to group stage in that one. Now, this roster has a mixed bag of experience internationally.
Sim.
The Korean imports have none, but the three Brazilian native players do. So in top lane, we have Wiser, 3.3 KDA, 7.3 CS per minute, and a 60.7 KP. So let's think about this a bit more involved than some top laners at this event. We do have some top laners under 50% KP. And you say to yourself, what does this mean? Well,
Junta
it
muito.
means the team is fighting around each other more than other teams
Sim.
at this event. You're going to find that these five fight together in team fights more often.
Sim.
And therefore, Wiser playing weak side, given this number of a 7.3 CS, like he's not really getting as much farm as others. 1.44.
Bom, ele já entendeu que o Weiser joga muito weak side, ele acaba sendo a pessoa que give a farm, consequentemente o Dinquedo vai ter um farm melhor.
Damage divided by gold. Does get a decent amount of damage relative to the gold he receives, which is, 20.5% of the damage, 20.8% of the gold of Pain Gaming. So, Pain is giving him about 21% of the gold, and he's dealing 21% of the damage. That works out, right? You have a top laner that can kind of do both things, carry or facilitate depending on what's necessary. 2.57 vision efficiency. That's a new stat I've been using this last split. It's just simply vision score divided by wards placed. How efficient is the vision that a player gets? Are we wasting words, therefore wasting gold, or are we finding something with the words we place? Of course, different champions may
Caralho.
cause the vision score to be higher, but this is just a rough look at it. Wiser ahead 200 gold, down 7 CS, 50 XP. That kind of goes to show you that he finds a way to get gold outside of farm, which means probably getting a kill or an assist in the early game. That will make up for the -7 CS he's behind. 5 solo kills in 11 games.
Ele fica atrás em farm, mas às vezes ele tá na frente em gold, o que significa que o time luta ao redor dele e ele acaba pegando gold de kill. Se você não lutar ao redor dele, ele acaba ficando atrás em gold.
Played 6 champions, and like I said, no international experience. Carrick in mid, decent player. Has been to an MSI before, has been around the block for a minute, but really hasn't been to international events quite that much. 3.5 KDA, 6.1 CS per minute, and a 73.1 KP, so almost 3 out of every 4 kills. 1.33 return on investment. 16.4% of the damage, about 18% of the gold. That makes sense for a jungler.
Sim.
4.8 vision efficiency, which makes him the highest player in that stat. He is the most efficient player on the team as far as vision is concerned. Down 90 gold, up 1 CS, 120 XP, so relatively even at 15 minutes. 5 champions in 11 games. We also have to keep in mind this thought of going even domestically. That does not bode well for you if you're going to an international event, because
Sim.
you are stepping up your game, you're against better competition, so you would like to have an advantage over your domestic counterparts, if you're going to go against the LCK or LP.
Isso que ele tá falando é muito importante. Tipo, se você é um cara que você tem um status even na sua região, quando você for pra fora, o que é esperado é que você fique abaixo.
PL or etc., you do have to have the ability to match, right? And I will say I am happy that it isn't loud this time. I got kind of tired of, loud just, we just knew what they were. And in the end, I really thought that There was no growth to be had there with that team. So
Caralho, ele falou que a Loud, ele já sabia o que a Loud era, né? Já que eles já foram várias vezes, e que ele não via potencial de crescimento nesse time.
at least this one, there's some differences. Carrick, a 2-4 record internationally, had a 1.2 KDA at that event, 5.8 CS per minute, 68.9 KP, but a 0.65 damage divided by gold. That could have been meta dependent at that MSI he was at. Maybe it was very facilitator and supportive oriented, tank meta for jungle, not necessarily
Não
what we're
performou
seeing
bem no
now,
Internacional
which is a
Carioca.
carry meta for junglers. Don't have the additional stats like I've had in years past because this past MSI, due to it being in China, we did not get the fun stats that do make us, be able to fill this line out with the
Uhum.
diffies at 15 minutes, etc. So that is what it is. Mid lane, Dinquedo. Dinquedo,
Dinqueiro.
longtime mid laner in CBLOL, considered to be one of the better mid laners probably in the history of CBLOL, I'd reckon. 4.6 KDA,
É,
9.3 CS per minute, 71.4 KP makes sense in this meta. Is not giving up a ton of farm. Actually, I mean, he's probably middle of the road in that
Farazli.
department at 9.3. We do have some players under 9. Frescowy for one of Mad Lions Koi. But 70 KP, this goes to show us, though, continues to show actually this team fights around each other.
sim.
1.66 return on investment, 26.8% of the damage, and a team leading 23.9% of the gold. Now, the gold split on this team is pretty much like 51-49 if you were to look at like the two carries of mid and 80 carry. But not many teams have that sort of split going on. We do see some that have heavy mid lane skew where there may be a 25% gold share to the mid laner or bot laner 25%, which is more traditional. However, this team is kind of like back and forth, excuse me, back and forth in terms of who's getting the gold to make things happen between Dinquedo and Cheetan.
Tá. Ele tá falando que então a PEN é um time que divide muito gold entre o Dinquedo e o Titã, mas não necessariamente eles têm um padrão, isso varia de jogo a jogo. Ué, mas cara,
Vision score, efficiency. He is ahead domestically, over 500 gold, about 452, 7 CS, and 264 XP. Had one solo kill, 4 champions in 11 games. That's good to see that he is ahead at 15 minutes. So when he goes internationally, he should not be behind by default. Like I kind of said earlier, if you're even domestically, I'm going to assume that when you play somebody better than who you're playing domestically, you're going to go behind.
justo.
Unless you rise to the occasion, which could happen. It's just kind of like hedging our bets in that regard. Dinquedo is 5-7 internationally. Good stats though. Does show up internationally. There's no doubt about that. A 3.3 KDA, 8.5 CS per minute, a 56.4 KP, and maybe that's meta dependent. The year he did go to Worlds and MSI, it is possible that it was a meta where mid lane was in a side lane more often than being involved in team fights. 8.5 CS per minute, like I said, 1.31 damage divided by gold. Worlds 2018 was his only Worlds appearance, and he did not get out of play-ins. 80 carry Cheetan, 4.5 KDA, 9.2 CS per minute, and a team leading 78.7 KP. That is not common, to have your 80 carry be the team leader in KP.
Isso é muito importante, mano. Isso é muito importante, mano. Tipo assim, o time lá de fora que olhar pra PEN, ele vai ver isso. E ele vai ver que esse time é em torno do Titã. Aí começa. Aí começa aquele negócio que vocês falam. Ah, mas por que tal time quando vai lá pra fora, ele muda tanto? Por quê? Você olha pra isso aqui e fala, beleza, contra esse time, a gente não pode draftar a bot lane fraca. E a gente tem que ter, não importa o top laner, a gente tem que ter mid jungle e bot lane mais forte. Acabou. Então ou a PEN se vira nisso, ou a PEN se vira nisso, ou eles mudam. E não precisa, tipo, mudar completamente. É só fazer alguns ajustes. É porque a maioria dos times se perdem um pouco. E aí muda completamente. Não precisa botar o Titã de Ziggs. Mas é só não forçar 1 milhão de vezes bot, que o time dos caras vai estar pronto. Que nem foi na série contra a Cade. Quem viu aqui no Watch Party, ouviu a gente comentando sobre isso. Que eles não deviam forçar tanto bot. E é só isso que precisa mudar. Mais nada.
But it goes to just further cement and confirm that this team fights around each other because they're fighting around their AD carry and trying to get their AD carry ahead. Now, he doesn't end up getting ahead in gold because otherwise he'd have a higher gold share. But he is very involved. In terms of kills, he has his fingerprints on nearly 4 out of every 5, which...
Caralho! A cada 5 kills, 4 são do Titã no time da PEN. Que isso, mano.
like I said, is probably the highest amongst the 80 carries at the tournament. 1.84 damage divided by gold. That makes sense. If he's involved in all the kills, then he's going to deal the most damage. 29.5% of the team's damage, 23.8% of the gold. 2.55 vision score divided by wards. Ahead slightly, 137 gold, 2 CS, 241 XP. I am going to combine that with Curry, and then we'll get a better picture of how the bot 2v2
Curry.
operates.
Stephen.
1 solo kill, 6 champions, 11 games. Internationally, he's 10-17. 2 KDA, 62.7 KP, 8.9 CS per minute, and a 1.25 return on investment. Cheaton had some moments at MSI 2022 with Red Cannons. His Worlds appearances 2018 and 21 out in play-ins. But like I said, MSI was when I saw him play, and I thought he did okay. Red had some moments, and he did as well. How he does here remains to be seen. I mean, like I said, I do have a little bit more. I don't know what it's not like hope is not the word. But I'm more interested in what this team can offer than the loud squad we've seen the last few tournaments that I just felt like, okay, we know what this team is, and everybody else does as well, so let's just kind of get on with it. Curry at support, Korean import, 2 and 4. 2.4 KDA, a 74.8 KP, so 3 out of every 4 kills. 0.75 damage divided by gold. You're probably going to say, what does it matter? Why is the support damage divided by gold being cited? Supports don't necessarily deal damage. Normally, no. When we think of support, we don't think of damage. But there are supports at this event that do deal damage. They deal damage per gold pound for pound, and there are some that are down towards 0.6 or so. So this is in the middle of the road at 0.74, but there are supports that are more aggressive and are going to deal damage. So it's just something to think about if you don't watch other regions, that at this event there are going to be supports that are more aggressive than what you're used to seeing. 1.73 vision score divided by ward.
Cara, depois de assistir esse vídeo aqui, eu quero ver o da PSG, tá?
It's placed. Makes sense. Supports put down a lot of wards, and a lot of them are useless. 148 gold ahead, so on average this team's up about 285 gold in the bot lane 2v2, 2 CS and 285 gold in the bot lane 2v2, 2 CS and 271 XP, so slightly ahead. The thing is, at this event, actually, let's just finish this up. 4 champions in 11 games. Now that's done. He has no international experience. So the thing with this event is, in my opinion, the 3rd seed in the LEC and LCS both are susceptible to being kicked out in play-ins. I do honestly believe that 100 Thieves have massive weaknesses in the bot lane, and then Mad Lions Koi have a gaping hole in mid lane and Frescal. Now, that opens the door for upsets. It opens the door for, well, I guess it's not an upset because I'm already saying it's a possibility and it wouldn't shock me. But that there's a possibility for minor region teams to get out at this tournament. Now, so you have the PCS, you have PSG, and you have SoftBank Hawks Gaming, so Japan. Historically, Japan and Brazil have been pound for pound pretty equal. So that's a thing. So, I mean, theoretically, they could compete with them. Now, Vietnam, GAM are a very good team. I understand Loud have played well into GAM in the past. I still think GAM are very good, but they're susceptible as well. I think, top side they're super strong, but mid and bot lane are going to be question marks for them. And then we have Vikings Esports, and I don't hide that I think Shogun is like super, super, super good at the game. Like I think Shogun should be in a major region. So that's a thing. Like I could see, like in Viking Esports, there's a lot of inexperience in other roles in the top side, but KD's been around the block with GAM,
Mm.
so it's like the mid 80 carry roles for Vikings are going to be interesting, and that's going to, all these teams have weaknesses. Is what I'm trying to say. PSG are definitely. I would almost guarantee they're getting out because they're a clean team.
Bom, falei isso também. Para mim, PSG é o time mais forte dessa fase de entrada. É isso.
But like Vikings, top side weak. Um, GAM, mid, and 80 carry, and bot side kind of weak. SoftBank Hawks Gaming, bot lane, I think, is pretty weak. I think that they're going to be struggling in that regard.
Esse filho da puta não faz
So,
nada pra PSG, só que eles vão
in
passar.
Vikings, it's
Filho
top
da
side.
puta,
So,
mano.
there's holes on these teams, and that's not to say CBLOL and Pain Gaming don't have holes on their team, because they do. It just means that there was an opportunity there where in years past, like last year, I don't really think there was much of an opportunity. Team Wales was really good going into it, and so were the PCS squad. So that's the thing. With this new format, I think there's a possibility. Wouldn't write it off completely. Coach is zero. Zero has zero international experience as a player or a coach, which is a thing as well. So, yeah, that's it for the video.